Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 8th of October. My name's Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Peer.
Gary, it's hard to actually get a grasp on what is going on in the marketplace because yet again, we're going to come out with some amazing auction clearance numbers.
Yep.
And yet the industry, you go onto one site says 56%, another one says 61%, another one says 64%. And yet we came in with what, young Gary?
Well, Phil, let's not muck around. Let's put those towers up. We're 83% against the industry average. Let's average the industry average reported results at 60. 60 versus 83%, not bad at all.
How many did we have?
We had 23 auctions, Philip.
And
19.
we sold 19 out of... Okay.
19 for 23, not bad,
So
eh?
this is now
Hang
about...
on. Boast music.
Thank you. We're now about 5 weeks, 6 weeks into these 80+% clearance rates.
Yes.
So
Something's happening.
clearly something is going on at Gary Peer and Associates. Now, in all seriousness, Gary, blow away the bluster, blow away the fanfare, blow away the boast. How is it possible that every week we're smashing the industry clearance rates? Give me 3 things that you think we're doing that prove to the marketplace that we're better than the industry.
Filtered water. Filtered water. I think that keeps us very healthy, Philip. Filtered water. Training, number 2, and great leadership.
Yep.
And that would give nothing to any of our people who work in our office, would it? No, look, the reality is, Philip, away from those 3 things, and I think filtered water is very good for you, but away from those things, I think we have very good processes.
Yep.
I think we're courageous, and I'm going to say that.
Courageous.
I think we are courageous because sometimes it's difficult to have, and we talked about this in the sales meeting on Monday, which, is a very big moment in our week, of course, every week. We talked about the fact that, this got passed in and the agent said this much and it got passed in a lot lesser and this agent didn't really advertise it properly and didn't sell. So I think you've got to have a bit of courage in front of your client and say, look, this is what we believe in. This is how it should be advertised. This is where the price should be pitched. This is what we think is real. And I think it takes some courage because we know that every vendor wants to hear the highest price and the least expense to get the highest price, because that is music to the ears of any vendor, as it could and should be. But I think if you've got the courage to say, this is what you need to do. So I think courage, I think process.
Courage, process.
And I also think hard work, Philip, because our
Courage,
guys work hard.
process,
and hard work. That's my 3, Philip. And I got to tell you, as we've got someone recently who's joined us with another agent. He said at 5 o'clock on Monday, it's lights out over there. And at 7 o'clock, we're still deep into our work. So it is hard work.
I'm going to agree with all of the things that you've just said, but I'm going to add one other level, which is kind of probably comes under process, and it also comes under courage.
Yes.
It's the courage to encourage our clients to advertise and market properly.
Yes, true.
I can tell you, viewers, the one thing that lesser agents, weaker agents, greener agents, fearful agents do in the lounge room is that they will say to a client, look, I can give you a cheap commission and I can give you cheap marketing. Now, it's one thing to have a cheap commission because that really goes to their core competency.
Yep.
But when you don't market a property properly, you reduce its level of exposure. When you reduce its level of exposure, you reduce the number of people coming through the doors or making inquiry. To me, that is the number one killer of a campaign, is to not have adequate marketing.
Well, Philip, we sold in Musk Creek Road, as you know,
Yes.
and I don't think with all of the
Creek Road in Flinders.
Now, I don't think with all of the confidence we have in ourselves, I don't think we're experts in Musk Creek Road, Flinders. We don't have a whole lot of form, but we sold it. And again, Philip, that property was bought by somebody who found it on social media.
Yes.
Now, I've just sold a property in Thomas Street in East Brighton, Philip. That purchaser saw their daughter, who is from Beaconsfield, the buyer's daughter, found it on social media. So I've got to say, Phil, that this social media is working, our exposure is working, and I think also, Philip, competency is also something to do with it. I think competency does make a difference.
Which goes to, again, our processes. A lot of training happens in this organisation, so we're obsessive about training our team. But I think that all of these things, obviously, the cake doesn't rise, Gary, without the full proper ingredients.
Yes, Philip.
And then, Gary, the cake only tastes beautiful if the ingredients ingredients are quality ingredients.
That's true.
So a little bit of a little
Synopsis,
bit of
yeah.
a little bit of a
Analysis, synopsis, whatever you're thinking about. You mean about the cake whole
But,
thing? Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
will say that for me, after you choose us, the number one tool that we need is adequate marketing.
Yes.
And unfortunately, marketing costs money. And where we talk about courage, a salesperson has got to have the courage and the conviction to say to a vendor, yes, you could spend X, but if you spend another 10, 20%, you will get a better result.
So vendors, expose yourself. That's what we say. And that sounds a little bit cheeky, doesn't it? A little bit risque, but expose yourself, or we mean to say expose your properties, because we know that great exposure helps.
Let's talk about the weekend,
Yep.
Gary, talking about exposing ourselves. So we had a lot of auctions on.
Yep.
No doubt on the left where my hand is right about now, you've prepared some fascinating and titillating
but before we get to that, I've got some
parts
beef.
of the marketplace.
I've got some beef, you know.
Yep.
And
Gary's beef.
And a lot of people relate to the beef, because I know that when I said about drivers, you know, because we had some driver beef, you know, the wave, the
Yes.
driver wave. A lot of people said yeah, I don't like it when I pull in and someone doesn't wave. Tell you what, my next driver beef is. You know, when you're going to turn right at the lights, right?
Yes.
There's a car in front of you about to turn right at the lights.
Yes.
And you go up to the light, and they stop, only allowing themselves to turn right,
Yep.
not adequately moving through for you to go behind them and then turn right. And you should know about this, because you've got a lot of tickets right over your time for example, turning right when you haven't been able to, and the cameras have got you where you're just that moment too late. It wasn't dangerous or reckless, but it was probably irresponsible and foolish.
Just on
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
viewers, Chapel Street, Dandenong Road,
Chapel-
Chapel
oh, yeah,
Street.
that's what I mean.
If you're going Dandenong Road towards the city and you're going to make a right-hand turn into Chapel Street,
Yeah.
whatever you do, do not run the orange light,
No.
because you will be booked, as
Yeah.
I have 5 times. And if you're coming along Fitzroy Street, heading towards Dandenong Road, and you're going to do a right-hand turn into Barclay Street, into Alma Road,
yeah, yeah,
into
Alma, yeah.
what is it, Princess Street, Alma Road. You're going to get done there again. Let me tell you, those would have to be the two most savage, the two most hungry red light cameras on the planet.
Can we get an investment in those red light cameras?
Tell
Because
you what,
I don't
if you
believe
own those
yeah.
two red light cameras and you just said to whoever runs it, listen, I'm going to buy those 2 red light cameras.
Yeah.
I just want 10%. I'll do the maintenance. I'll shiny up the lens.
Exactly right.
I'll get the graffiti
I'll
away.
develop the photos for you,
Correct.
whatever you like.
Those
yeah.
two, you could
And,
retire on
and
those
it's
two.
actually, there's ample time from when it turns red before it goes green. So it's not a dangerous situation.
Correct.
It's just a
Horrible.
foolish way. Anyway,
Horrible. Anyway, there's
but
your
that's
beef
my,
done.
Yeah, no,
There's your
but
beef
do you
done.
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, totally.
So you sort of you're up to the light. And you go move.
We
move.
get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
Anyway,
So Gary, there's
yep.
your beef. We're done
Yep.
and dusted on the
Yeah,
beef.
got the beef.
Let's talk about what happened on the real estate hustings over the
Okay.
weekend, because we were busy. Having said that, 20 odd auctions is not a huge weekend for us. When we're over 30, that's a really busy weekend. So we had a good weekend, but clearance rates again. Shout out to our team, shout out to our sellers and our buyers on some remarkable results. Anything stand out for you?
in terms of results, or
Yeah.
just the auctions themselves,
Just
or.
take me through whatever stands out for
Well,
you.
the first auction that I did, Philip, was in East Bentley, and we take the cookie bags there.
Yep.
And I said to Simon McDonald, "Can you hold on to these cookie bags?" And he did, but of course he put them on the ground. And then I went to give the bidder a cookie bag. Well, they were all gone, weren't they?
So
and there was somebody.
people
no,
just
there was
thought,
one,
oh, there's
there
a
was one,
freebie.
Yeah, there's one lady there who was sitting down. She had all
Yeah.
the cookie bags, and she filled them with things herself. So. The cookie bags,
Seriously?
they're in hot demand, Phil. You've got to watch those cookie bags, But Phil, look, lots of good results. I've got to put it out there. I reckon land is back and builders are back. I'm like, we had this big lapse in the market
Yes.
where people didn't want land. Builders were fearful, and rightly so.
Yep.
But I reckon there is
reckon
a
land is
upswing
back?
in confidence. I'm going to say land's back. I'm going to say builders back. I'm going to say building is back, Phil, because we had a few sales. One in Asling Street, which was a runaway train.
Yes.
The second we opened
Huge
it, and
result.
never expected it to be anywhere
Sold
like that.
so far over the reserve.
It was just it was ridiculous, really, in terms of the premium that got. But and we adjusted the price guide in anticipation, but still nowhere near as much as it went for. But Phil, there are some properties that are just red hot out there.
So you're calling land is back.
I'm saying land's
we've had
back.
multiple bidders on a number of parcels
we did.
of land over the weekend.
We did,
And
but
I will-
seven
and I will
bidders.
just say this
Yeah.
to the viewers to deconstruct it. Obviously, building costs are now settling.
Yes, they are.
A lot of the builders that were going to go broke have gone broke,
yes.
sadly.
Yeah.
So we're now seeing those builders that are still there in the marketplace are tried and tested.
Yes.
Building costs have softened. They're never going to drop dramatically, but
Yes.
at least they're not going up any further.
Yeah.
So a little bit of certainty has come back
I
into
think
the
so,
marketplace.
Phil. And we saw that in Aisling Street in Brighton, but we also saw it in Langdon Road.
Langdon Road, multiple
which were
bidders
both
there.
multiple bidders for land. So I'm going to put it out there.
Yep.
Land is back, Philip. And some of these homes, by the way, both these two homes that I auctioned, have both been the same family for a long time. Aisling Street for 70 odd years,
Yes.
thereabouts. Langdon Road for 35 years. The people who sold that bought it sight unseen 35 years ago, Philip. So we are finding some tightly held properties that are going to the market that are pretty red hot. One at 273 Oran Road. Now, we love that block. It used to be called, when they renamed it, they couldn't do it today, but when they renamed that block, when they refurbished it, that beautiful English Tudor style block, they called it the Gardens of Caulfield, even though it's in East St Kilda. Today, they take much pride in calling it the Gardens of East St Kilda because East St Kilda is now...
It's a hip, happening suburb.
Hip-hop happening suburb, Phil. But that was sold. It's undisclosed, but the range was mid to high fives, and it sold with a 6 in front of it. I can say that, Phil.
They always go well in that building, and they always tend to go above expectations.
They do.
It's a beautiful building, and if you think about apartment buildings, a lot of them can be generic. Same old, but that is a beautiful building with this incredible garden in front of it. So it is unique, it is different.
And it's a timeless charm there, Phil, isn't it? We sold 66 Thomas Street before auction. Well done to Daniel Peer and his team who sold that. And again, that's the buyer. Came through the social media, Phil. So you never know. Also, Emily Street, Philip, in Carnegie. Competitive auction that with 3 bidders. Dizzy Wang handled that. Leo Samuel was the auctioneer, did a great job and sold well over its sort of lowish twos range, Philip, because the range was 2.2 to 2.4, but it sold for way more than that. Now, you were up and about. You had a few auctions to do on the weekend. You were in Steel Street. You sold that, Philip.
Beautiful house there. Lovely family that had owned it for some time. Did a lovely refurbishment to that. Sold it to a lovely couple with 2 young children. So the next chapter of that home continues. I also sold together with Bernie and Daniel 2 properties at number 866.
You did.
866 on Huntley Road. Don't often get that, Gary, where you get to sell 2 on the same day. So this was a front house and then a rear unit. That was competitive bidding, and both of those sold to a new chapter, a new invigoration of younger people coming through.
Now, I'm good to my word, Phil, because I did say to you on Sunday, as I nicked off a little bit earlier because it wasn't a busy Sunday, and went to the Heathcote Wine and Food Festival, Phil.
Yes, lovely.
And graced the wonderful folk of Heathcote.
Was it busy?
We got there a bit late because,
Because you're peers.
Well, we're peers, so we got there late, but before closing time, which is good, because sometimes the peers get there at closing time. We are a little late, as you know, but also with good reason, because I did have auctions to do on Sunday.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, just talking about auctions on Sunday, the property at 303 Bamborough Road, not yet sold. 1,320,000 will buy this home.
Beautiful
freestanding, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in Caulfield South. 1,320.
Got to be a buy.
That is a buy. Anyway, Heathcote, Phil, and good to my word, I bought you the best bottle of wine that I could find there.
Yes.
And I bought you some chocolate.
Oh,
dark
lovely.
chocolate. Yeah.
Lovely.
So,
lovely.
Because you like a little nibble.
Look forward to having some chocolates and red wine in the office with you,
I'm
sitting on our Chesterfield couch that we do not own.
No.
But wouldn't it be lovely if we did?
Do not
Gary,
own or
let's
have.
talk about the weekend that's coming up.
Phil, a quietish weekend this weekend. We're auctioning 6 properties on Sunday, Philip, and we're going to be auctioning a property that's been in the same hands for many years. Leo Samuel has auction honours in Seaview Street in Caulfield South.
Gary,
tell us a bit about this.
What an amazing property this is. High on the hill, 875 square metres of prime land, together with a very livable, lettable 1960s home. So either you renovate that house or you paint your incredible dream upon that marvellous parcel of land. And keep in mind that 875 square metres is one of the biggest blocks in Caulfield South.
Phil, Hawthorne Road, I've got auction honours. I'm going to be meeting Leon Gusenfitter at that property together with John Sweepo, and looking forward to it.
What a great apartment, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom and a car space. But what that property does have that most don't is a huge balcony stroke terrace, sunlit and beautiful.
It is sunlit and beautiful, Philip, and we'll be sunlit and beautiful during your auctions of the weekend, but not before I get mine away in Marn Street. Now, we've got a history with this block, Philip, because we used to manage it.
We used to manage it for an incredible man.
Very lovely gentleman.
Who really was the most extraordinary fellow. Shout out to him and his family if they happen to be watching.
Yes.
Well, not him anymore because he's no longer with us.
Sadly.
But, he was the most incredible guy.
He was a lovely
2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom and a car space. That is a great building, Gary, and Marn Street is a great street.
I'm looking forward to seeing Bernie Mel there, who's doing so well with us, Philip. 12:30, you are going to be not yet doing any auctions, Phil. You're going to have a little sleep in, but Jeremy Rosens is doing an auction. Now, this is a classic period style block, isn't it?
Gary, they don't get any more beautiful than this Art Deco gem. This is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1-car space. The main bedroom is massive, as is the kitchen, meals, family room and the living room. That is a charming property, and that is being handled by Mark and Addy.
In Shelley Street, Philip, in Elwood, great position. Now, you will be kicking into gear at 1:30, Phil. You've got a couple of Elstwick auctions to enjoy. Let's talk about this one in Prentice Street.
Gary, I love this home. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms and an off-street car park. That is magnificent throughout. It's a 2-storey renovation. Everything that opens and shuts is there. It's just gorgeous.
And you'll be there at 1:30, Philip, and as you will be in Elizabeth Street, Elstwick, at 2:30.
Gary, is there a better street than Elizabeth Street? It's definitely Elstonwick's number 1 street.
It is.
It's a beautiful, beautiful street. That is a fabulous red brick Federation stroke Edwardian home. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, off-street car parking, a gorgeous courtyard garden. That is really the creme de la creme of that style of real estate.
It is, Phil. We have a few other properties to review. That is a quiet weekend for us, but nevertheless an exciting weekend of offerings because beautiful properties there. Phil, tell us a little bit about 2 Air Road, Caulfield North. This is state.
Well, Gary, here you can have the most incredible 4-bedroom study, 4.5 bathroom family home, together with an indoor swimming pool, together with a tennis court, all sitting on 1,104 square metres of prime land. It's on the corner of Ayr and Kooyong Road. In fact, though, the house actually sits in Ayr Road.
Yep.
That's an incredible property. Some lucky buyer will buy that. It's a generational asset.
Now, I know that you've been blowing your horn about this property, Philip, excited, skipping around the office with a spring in your step, and Raffy Joffe says there's no better town residence than this home in Marriott Street. Tell us about it.
Gary, this is incredible because it's got something that no other property like it has. Firstly, it's stunning throughout. 4 bedrooms and a study, 3.5 bathrooms, a double lock-up garage, one of those beautiful kitchens, the most incredible walk-in dressing room to the main bedroom, but it also has this incredible fully self-contained loft above the garage. So use that as a home office, use it as a recreational space, but it is an incredible home, brand new, totally luxurious.
Phil, we're going to bring down the curtain on today's show, reviewing this property again in Elstwick. We've sold this once before, and it is a great looking home in Seymour Road, one of Elstwick's best streets.
We talked about Elizabeth Street being the number 1 street,
Yep.
but definitely in the top 10, if not in the top 5,
100%.
is Seymour Road. This is number 75. This is 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, off-street car parking for 2 cars, the most stunning courtyard garden, and it's been renovated from the front to the back and everything in between. It's a beautiful property. It's all of that, Gary, for under $2 million. It doesn't get any better than that.
It certainly doesn't. It may not be. The competition might take it beyond $2 million, Phil.
Who would
because some
know?
of the auctions, you never know. We think we know. We think we know what we're talking about, but sometimes you have to look at yourself and say, we've really got no idea.
No idea some of the time.
Some of the time, but plenty of idea most of the time, thankfully. That is a big wrap on this week's edition, Phil. We're into spring. We think land is back. We're excited about some good listings still coming onto the market.
And Gary, this coming weekend is the last quiet weekend before the market goes white hot and goes really right through for the first 3 weekends of December. So it's going to be a busy time. Thank you for watching GPTV. My name is Philip Kingston.
I'm Gary Peer. We will see you next week.